Are you imagining the possibilities? Hello, I'm Melissa Banks, Master Event Planner, Media Personality, Author, and founder of Imagine the Possibilities Community. In the beginning, I felt it was so important to be able to go back to the beginning of my journey and share with you the journey that brought me here today. I believe we must know how we got to where we are in order for us to be able to understand, to appreciate, and to imagine the possibilities. I was married when I was just 17 years old to the person I thought was the love of my life. This same person, 6 months later, became my abuser. You see, I was a victim of domestic violence, and it didn't last for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. It lasted for 17 long years. During that time, I didn't speak well or often. I didn't stand up for myself. I didn't believe in myself. I couldn't imagine any life beyond what I was going through. My life was so big, it was chaotic all the time, and it impacted every single thing. What I was going through was such a struggle, both physically and mentally, and it was a secret, and that made it even more difficult. But I have to say, the mental stuff is the stuff that stayed with me long after it was over. The fact that my mind was controlled by someone who didn't mean me any good, and it still impacts me sometimes even today. You will hear me say often, everything starts in the mind. In the middle of that experience, I'm here to tell you that I couldn't imagine past that. All I could imagine was surviving day to day. All I could imagine was making sure my children were safe and protected from the stuff. All I could imagine was getting past a good night's sleep. I couldn't imagine anything past that. Thank God he could imagine it for me. And he saved me. And he delivered me and my children from that situation. And then I became a single parent. Raising my 2 sons, making sure they had food to eat and a decent place to live became my reality. Thank God, though, in the middle of all of that, in the middle of me just trying to find my way, I got an opportunity for a really good job. Now, I could not have imagined having this type of job prior to this time. But I was able to get it. I was able to get it because I could finally see past where I was. I could finally imagine the possibilities. This company became my plan. The job became my resource. The job was my way to raise my children. The job was the way I was going to get an education. The job was the way I was going to survive. But then I couldn't see past the job. It became the only thing I could see in that moment. The walls of the job became my security. It became the thing that was going to save me. It was my plan, A, B, and C. Now, how many of you guessed it? Until. But even when until came, God was still looking out for me because he prepared me. You see, I believe without a doubt, and no matter what is going on, no matter how horrible it seems or how it feels, even if it feels like the end, that God has a destiny for me and for you, and it will happen no matter what. You see, until happened on that job. Days before, though, God prepared me and spoke to my spirit. But I just didn't understand or could receive what he was saying. I couldn't imagine what he was telling me. God was saying to me, you will be a business owner. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know people who looked like me that own their own businesses. I never thought about owning my own business. I dreamed of having a good job, working for someone else, being able to pay my bills and raise my children. That was all I knew. But here's this voice in my spirit telling me I will be a business owner. I simply didn't understand it. Fast forward a couple of days later when the until came. And in the moment of my entire plan, all I could imagine at that moment was being stripped away from me in the matter of minutes. But in those minutes, and those few minutes it took, I found comfort in those same words that I didn't understand a few days earlier. In that moment, those words, you will be a business owner, became my comfort. In that defining moment, my entrepreneurial journey began, at least in my spirit. But it took a lot of work. It took me being able to imagine owning my own business in order to be able to move forward from that point. You see, I believe, and I know some people don't believe this, but I believe that you have to be able to imagine beyond where you are. If you can't imagine beyond where you are today, you can't get to the possibilities. If you can't imagine that there is something more that makes you work hard, believing in it makes you want to go further than you are right now. I never could have imagined on my own that I could start my company and 25 years later, I'm still here. I'm not sitting here telling you that the journey has been easy. There have been some really great moments of celebration. There has also been some really hard days. And there have been some days that I just wanted to quit. But because I now can imagine the possibilities, I can keep going. I'm here to tell you that even during the pandemic, as an event planner, my calendar went from full to empty. It went from my best year ever to my worst year ever. But because I didn't give up, because now I can imagine the possibilities, doors began to open that I never would have been able to imagine. I became an author, a podcast host, a media personality. I was even asked to do an interview on the radio, my first time ever. No one had ever asked me what I thought about anything, let alone how my journey impacted me. Doors continued to open. You know why? Because I could imagine the possibilities and I kept going. I'm here to tell you that this Imagine the Possibilities community is so important to me and to all of you. Because what it will do for you is give you that push you need. It will let you know that there is more. It's a group of women that will celebrate you, cry with you, and push you. It's also the place to learn and grow together. I believe that when you put a group of women together, that power overflows to every single one of us. And the fact that we can imagine the possibilities means that more will happen because we won't stop. Each door that opened didn't cause me to sit down and say, okay, I've made it. What it did was cause me to imagine the possibilities. It matters who you talk to. It matters who you listen to. It matters who you see and what environment you are in. This community is necessary. It is required to have a place that we can go to, that we can lean into even on the hard days. It can remind us of our entire journey and that it doesn't stop here. It's the place where you can see each other and know that we can imagine the possibilities. And the possibilities don't stop. It keeps going. So my question to you, are you imagining the possibilities? I'm Melissa Banks, Master Event Planner, Media Personality, author, and founder of Imagine the Possibilities community. Until next time.